Welcome back, guys. In this video I'm going to wrap up the wrapping process. So in the previous video I wrapped this TextureXYZ base mesh onto the mesh I created. This is the mesh I created, so I wrapped the TextureXYZ base mesh. Now I can continue with transferring the texture details from this mesh to this. So I'm going to use the high poly low poly bake, in which the TextureXYZ mesh is going to be the high poly and the mesh I created is going to be the low poly, and I'm going to transfer the detail by that way. So for this baking process I'm going to use Blender and Simplebake, because Simplebake streamlines the whole process of baking the texture and it is very simple. I made a video on how to bake textures using Simplebake, so I'll put the link somewhere on top and in the description, so watch that if you want to learn more about Simplebake. So let's get started with. So I'm going to go to Blender and I'm going to press this import button. So once I press this import button, now I can go to ZBrush and I can click on the Go Z button. So this will transfer this selected mesh from ZBrush to Blender. As you can see, we exported this mesh. So I'm going to rename it to head HP for high poly. Now coming again to ZBrush, I'm going to go to the base mesh that I created and I'm going to hit on Cozy again. So now in Blender, the base mesh which I created also is imported. So now I'm going to rename this to head LP for low poly. Once you change the name, anytime you try to export from ZBrush to Blender using GoZ, it's going to create a new mesh. If you guys don't know how to use the GoZ add-on, I created a video and I'll put the link on the description, so go and watch to learn how to use GoZ. Okay, now that we are here, all we have to do is bake the textures. Okay, first I'm going to turn off this low poly. I'm going to select the high poly mesh. I'm going to go to the rendering tab, shading tab, and I'm going to import some textures from Face, which I downloaded in my system. I'm going to bake all the ID maps and the texture maps. So first I'll just import them. I'm just going to drag and drop all the text images here and check if the mesh has the proper UV. If you export the meshes from ZBrush to Blender using the GoZ add-on, sometimes the UVs will be flipped. So in Y direction, I'm just going to fix this by flipping it again. So I'm going to scale and -1, Y and -1. So this will fix the UV. And now I'm going to connect the nodes. We are going to bake the nodes one by one because I'm going to bake this using the albedo channel, the base color channel. So okay, now the base color is plugged in. I'm just going to set this to shade smooth. I'm just going to shade smooth without, I'm not going to set it to auto smooth, I'm just going to set it to shade smooth because there is no hard edges in this model. I'm just going to also there are a few other maps which we can connect. So there is displacement, there's utility. So right now I'm just going to bake these maps one by one. Now we have to go to the head. Okay, you have to check the UV for this mesh also. Okay, for this mesh the UVs are straight. This is how I made the UV. So This is fine. Now we can start the process of baking. So first we have to, first I'm just going to keep both of them on top of each other. I'm going to go to the head. Just going to delete this extra node, and I'm going to go to the render tab where the Simplebake settings are here. So I'm just going to bake objects, and I'm just going to add the high poly here. We don't need to add the low poly here because we have to add the low poly on the in the target menu. So I'm just going to click this bake to target button, and I'm going to click, I'm just going to get the head low p as the target. You can add a gauge mesh if you want, but I'm just going to generate one. So I'm just going to click on auto generate, and I'm just going to extrude this gauge very little, hide the high poly just for a minute. So this will work. So this will work. We don't need too much extrusion because anyway the high poly and low poly uh, basically on top of each other. So I'm just going to need a little bit, space for the bake to work properly. After this, I'm just going to go, there's no need to change any other settings here, both the ray distance and multiplier. I'm just going to keep them as it is, and I'm going to come to the PBR bake section, and I'm going to bake all the, I'm just going to bake the diffuse channel, and I'm just going to do it one by one for each of the maps. So diffuse is on. There is no other settings I'm going to change other than the texture settings. I'm just going to bump the map to, let's go with 8K. And to come here, export bakes, Simplebake. Face bakes. No need for subfolder. No need color management settings. I'm just going to keep this 16-bit. I will turn this on when I'm going to bake, when I bake the displacement map and the normal information, the utility map. So for the diffuse channel, I'm going to click it off. The format is going to be EXR. I'm just going to leave it to the default codecs. I'm just going to leave it in the default codec. So there's no image sequence, and I'm going to, no need for any other settings. I'm just going to start the baking. So bake to target. Okay, we need this not to be hidden. So the bake for the base color is done. I'm going to click OK. So this is how the base color looks like, the diffuse map. I'm just going to quickly apply it and see how it looks. So just going to hide the target mesh, image texture, into F head. Yes. So this is the texture. So this is the mesh that I created, and as you can see, it did a very good job of baking it on this mesh. Here the mesh is here near the neck. There was no information at the edges because the high poly wrapped only till this part. So for all the area that high poly is not overlapping, it didn't bake any color information. So, but other than that, that's not an issue actually. That's how it's supposed to be. Other than that, everything is fine. And for an 8K bake, it baked really quickly. I'm just going to compare this with the high poly version. So I don't know if this is an artifact or a shadow. I'm going to turn off the shadows. Yeah, that's shadows. So yeah, so one texture is done, so I'm just going to repeat the process for the other textures. The other textures are displacement map, displacement calibrated map, XYZ. The other maps are displacement calibrator, displacement multi-channel, and utility maps. So I'm just going to repeat the process for all these three maps. I'm just going to speed up the video. Okay, now all the bakings are done. I'm just going to quickly check every images how they are placing on the base mesh. So this is the multi-channel. Sorry, this is the displacement pre-calculated. If it is hard for you to look like this, you can check the diffuse color. This way you will only see the color information. Anyway, this channel has very less information, but we can see the info here in the red channel. As you can see, these are the only data it stores. So there is no seam or any issues like that. Looks perfect for me. I'm going to check the displacement calibrated, sorry, multi-channel displacement. So this is a multi-channel displacement, and again I'm going to check it here. So this is the red channel, green, so all these small details, blue, the micro details. I think green channel is supposed to be roughness. To check that again. So displacement multi-channel is also good. Now we have to check the utility. I think utility have all the information for roughness and specular. In 3D it looks good. To here, blue channel. This is the cavity map. I think this is the roughness. I just have to check it once again. The red channel, this is displacement, I think. Okay, I have to check which is what. But so far all the texture maps are baked perfectly. So this is how you bake high poly to low poly in Simplebake in Blender, and how you transfer the details from TextureXYZ, VFace, or any of the TextureXYZ base meshes to low poly or the meshes which you created. I just want to quickly point out something. When we are baking maps like utility map or displacement multi-channel, what I was baking is the map itself with all the three channels, but there is a way to separate these channels and bake it as RGB channels. This cuts the process of importing it to Photoshop and exporting it in separate channels. All you have to do is you have to add the separate color, and you have to put here. Here you can plug R, G, or B. I'm going into, right now it's not too visible, but there are data. I don't know if it's being shown in the YouTube's compression thing. Maybe we can add a levels, RAM I don't know if it will work. Yeah, you can see. So basically we just have to bake all these maps. And another thing I found is while I'm baking it in Blender as a EXR, I get stepping issues. Okay, just quickly show what I mean. So I imported the TextureXYZ map which I baked on top of my model, and if I zoom in, can you guys see the stepping? Okay, I'll just increase the intensity. Yeah, as you guys can see, we are having the stepping issues. This stepping issue is not present in the actual maps which we got from the TextureXYZ. I downloaded the I used the map in the TextureXYZ base mesh and I separated the channel, and this issue is not present in that original TextureXYZ maps. So something looks like something happened when we are baking maps in texture. Either that or it's an issue with the EXR file. Okay, I actually find the issue, guys. So I'll show you the new bakes. The new bake have this result. So as you can see, the stepping is gone. Now I'll just have to keep a proper value. So when I'm baking in Blender, I didn't turn on the all internal 32-bit float. So what it did is it baked the displacement map as a 16-bit float. Yeah, I think. Yeah, so displacement maps have usually displacement maps usually get that stepping issue when we bake it as an 8 or 16-bit maps. So keep this in mind. Turn on this 32-bit float when you are baking the multi-channel displacement maps, and also you can bake it as separate RGB channels in Blender itself. You don't have to bake it as a single map and go to Photoshop and export it separately. So you can bake it here. If the video was helpful, please click on the like button and share this video to some of your friends, and subscribe to my channel to watch all the future videos. Thank you for watching this video, and till next time, see you.